Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this networking session titled Mapping and Addressing Digital Rights, Capacities and Threats. My name is Mia Marzotto, and I'm the Digital Rights Advocacy Lead at Oxfam. This week at the IGF, we heard many times how the deployment of digital technologies in more areas of our daily lives and the rapid rise of artificial intelligence increases the urgency with which human rights in a digital age must be prioritized. So with this session, we want to focus on what the current landscape looks like in terms of digital rights capacities and threats in global majority communities, and encourage new or stronger partnerships and connections between progressive actors in the digital governance space so that we can collectively ensure that we turn the critical commitment of leaving no one behind into reality. As Oxfam, we believe that effective digital governance should advocate for and protect the rights and interests of all people, and that their needs and experiences should really determine the future course of the digital age. Our mission is to end inequality, and this includes tackling the issue of digital inequality, as we see a growing concerning gap between those who benefit from digital technologies and those who don't. This is why in mid-2024, we launched Recipe, a multi-year project co-funded by the European Union that aims to promote fundamental rights in the digital age in partnership with civil society organizations from 10 countries, working with some of the most vulnerable people in society for whom the risks as well as the opportunities related to digital technologies are the greatest. So this session will proceed as follows. First, we'll hear from 5 representatives from the civil society organizations involved in the Recipe project, who will present key information extracted from primary research and analysis recently conducted, providing sort of like a snapshot of the current situation of digital rights capacities and threats in a diverse set of global majority countries. And then we will move into a discussion and, of course, encourage reflections and questions from the audience, both in the room and online. So without further ado, let me quickly introduce my panel here of distinguished speakers, starting with Mohamed Aded Ali. He's the Executive Director of Somalia Non-State Actors. To my right here, Tran T. Tuyet, Program Manager for the Institute for Policy Studies and Media Development in Vietnam. Thierry Louis, Head of Program at the Cooperation Committee for Cambodia. And at the end of the table, Christian Leon, Executive Director of Fundación InternetBolivia.org. Joining us online, we also have Khadija Ibrahim, who's the International Advocacy Officer at the Palestinian NGO MIFTA, and Luan Mendes, Project Coordinator of the Centro SOS Digital at Fundación Internet Bolivia, who will also be our online moderator. So before focusing on the countries, I just want to make a quick few remarks on the overall methodology and demographics of the multi-country assessment we conducted on the Recipe project to map the digital landscape threats and opportunities. So this was an assessment that included a comprehensive set of questions related to 4 main topics: digital literacy and internet access, digital violence and safety, and current measures to prevent digital violence, as well as perceptions on the further action needed to prevent digital rights violations. We had over 1,000 respondents across 9 countries, representing a range of groups, including community members, activists, journalists, and members of civil society organizations. And of course, we also looked at existing literature and other relevant studies, and importantly, validated the findings through workshops with the groups involved. So I will now pass it on to our panel to present key findings from each country, as well as provide an overview of ongoing efforts and lessons learned in their work to promote digital rights and accountable internet governance in their respective contexts. Snow, would you like to start?
Hello, everyone, and it's nice to meet you all here. I'm Snow from the Institute for Policy Study and Media Development, a think tank based in Vietnam focusing on digital technology policies. And it's my honor to be here, and thank you so much, Mia and Osvamalan, for giving us this opportunity to share here. And without further delay, I will start my presentation now. Yeah. In Vietnam, digital transformation or chuyển đổi số has been a national priority in recent years, with the government recognizing that digitalization is a comprehensive social economic shift. The government left no one behind commitment aimed to guarantee that all citizens can benefit from and participate in the digital era. The cornerstone of this vision is to ensure digital rights for everyone. But despite notable progress, the reality for many is still marked by the barrier to digital access and participation. So our challenge and opportunity is to ensure that digital rights are not just a slogan, but a reality for all. In Vietnam, more and more people are using digital services. Each day, between 3 to 6 million log into this platform. This is three to four times more than just a year ago. Nearly half of all government services are now fully online. This number reflects the country's strong push for digitalization. But the real question is, do this positive number actually means everyone can access to these services? While official reports show promising figures, significant challenges remain in digital infrastructure, digital skills, and digital access. According to our research in mid-2024, none of Vietnam's 63 provincial public service portals fully meet standards for user-friendliness or accessibility, even though these portals are the main gateway for government services. So, for marginalized communities, such as the migrant workers, getting access to these services is even more critical, since it is a necessity for them for claiming the entitlements under essential social protection policies. As digital services become a part of daily life in Vietnam, concern about data protection and online safety are growing. And Vietnam has also started building legal frameworks such as the Personal Data Protection Decree and a new law, but challenges still remain. Personal data protection leak and the buying and selling of personal info without the identification still happen. And misinformation in the online digital environments is common, as 44% of people in our recent research also say that they cannot clarify the information they saw was accurate or fake. So this confusion make it easier for the scammer, especially among people with limited digital skill, like the marginalized community. A survey by the National Cybersecurity Association found that 1 in every 220 smartphone users in Vietnam has fallen victim for online scam. These challenges stem from several core issues that our analysis has identified. Digital policy in Vietnam are still largely developed through a top-down approach led by state agencies with consultation processes that are often formalistic and lack of meaningful engagement. There remains an absence of participation from the marginalized communities and their representative organizations during both the design and implementation of digital policies. Furthermore, there is a lack of robust cooperation mechanism between the public sector, the private sector, the civil society, and relevant stakeholders that advocate for digital rights. So from the perspective of a policy research organization, we observe both remarkable and persistent challenges. Hence, our policy recommendations aims to provide a strategic roadmap that integrates both the policy, the technical, and the cooperative dimensions. So we would like to highlight 4 fundamental lessons. The first one is digital transformation as a multi-component ecosystem, requiring synchronization between policy, technology, and people. The second one, inclusive policy design with substantive participation mechanism and grassroots support institution is necessary. The third one, ensuring digital rights as a prerequisite for greater public participation in the transformation process, and especially for marginalized groups. And the fourth one, establish multi-level, multi-layer, and multilateral cooperation mechanism to strengthen the capacity voice and policy influence of social organization and disadvantaged community. So before I conclude my presentation, I would like to invite you to explore our research on this topic. Our detailed recommendations are available by the QR code on the screen. And we hope that Vietnam's experience and lesson learned can contribute to the global conversation on digital rights for all. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Snow, very much. From Vietnam to Bolivia, Christian, please.
Sure. Thank you, Mia. Good morning to all the wonderful panelists and the friends participating on site and online. So I represent an organization called Internet Bolivia Foundation that is a digital rights organization established in 2018. We work to generate digital inclusion, protection of digital rights, and the fostering of capacities for the most vulnerable populations, especially in the fight against digital gender violence. We do this in a context in which three things are combined. The first one is a digital divide that still affects 30% of the population in urban areas and almost 70% in the rural areas. So we are really far from achieving a meaningful connectivity. The second thing is a strong perspective from the government and legislators to push forward a digital transformation, but a digital transformation more motivated in digital techno-solutionism than in real necessities. And this is exposing people to potential abuses to their rights, such as privacy, freedom of speech, participation, among others. And see a very hostile environment for human rights defenders, for women activists, for LGBTQIA populations, all the vulnerable populations. So they are connected, but without any safeguards to their participation. That is why most of our work have been focused in foster the capacities of these populations and advocate for the respect of our rights. And that is why we are working with the Recipe Group to join forces together with other organizations from the Global South and the Global North for achieving these objectives. So we made a mapping of the current threats, and my colleague Luan, she's connected. She will explain you a little more about our results. So Luan, please.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. In the session, good morning. Well, about the K fundings, we saw that the 77 suffered a digital security incident, and 62% experienced some type of digital violence in the last year. Another important result was that the 77 say that the actions of digital violence affect them may have a specific relationship with their status as human rights defenders. That is a very important result. And another thing that the four main threats identified were harassment, hate speech, physical or sexual threats, and public defamation. So in order to respond that, one way of responding to the previous result was the creation of a network of feminist collectives. Some of the objectives of this network are to generate support for digital security among collectives and organizations by creating their own protocols and sharing experience, knowledge, and skills on the subject about digital security. Another thing was the methodologies with pedagogical and practical dynamics were identified, such as awareness raising session, a space for horizontal reflection and articulation for advocacy in public policies in the political arena. And this network seeks to provide support to victims and carry out collective prevention actions. It's important to mention that this network is composed for a very large feminist collective in Bolivia that now are working in strategies and creating horizontal pedagogical methodologies in order to improve their skills in digital security. Thank you.
Thank you very much to you both. Thierry, do you want to talk to us about Cambodia?
Yes, thank you, Mai, and good morning, all. I'm honored to speak. Sorry. I'm honored to speak with you on behalf of the Cooperation Committee for Cambodia, CCC. CCC, we are a membership-based organization in Cambodia that work in the inclusive partnership to promote good governance, enabling environment, and the sustainability for civil society organization in Cambodia. And currently, we have 200 NGO as a member, including the local and international NGO. Besides that, we also had the collaboration with the provincial-based NGO that work at the ground level with their member more than 400 NGO. And back to the digital contact in Cambodia, Cambodia stands as a digital crossroad that over the past decade, we witnessed the rapid growth of the internet and the transformative power of the social media in how our people communicate, engage, and access to the information. However, this digital growth has not come without challenges. So I would like to highlight the challenges based on the key finding of the research. First is about the digital literacy remain alarmingly low in Cambodia. Based on the research, fewer than 30% of Cambodians, especially rural youth and grassroots civil society organizations, posted the skill needed to navigate the digital world safely and effectively. This digital divide is not just about the access to technology, but it's about the access to the opportunity, to participation, and to the protection. And second, our legal framework is still catching up. Cambodians have a digital government policy 2022 to 2035, which focus on the three pillars that mentioned about the digital government, digital economy, and the digital citizen. However, Cambodia lacks comprehensive law, as several laws is in the draft form. They are in process. This law including cybersecurity law, cybercrime law, and the personal data protection law. And the last one, the third, the absence of the clear and the right-based legislation make the citizen vulnerable to surveillance, misinformation, and data misuse. This leads to the growing or distrust in the digital platform due to the online scam, online gaming. Yeah, that extra that we must urgently rebuild. Yes. However, there is a hope and there is an action. At CCC, we are working with the provincial NGO network to promote the digital awareness and security. These local organizations are not only receive training, but they are becoming a trainer themselves to transfer the knowledge to their member and also their community. And we also engaging the youth and the social influencer to lead the public campaign that make digital right relevant. Another thing is about a main important thing of our work in the policy dialogue. In Cambodia, we believe in the multi-stakeholder approach and the inclusive dialogue. We are bringing together the government, civil society, development partner, and also the private sector to raise awareness of the digital law and policy and to ensure the voice of the civil society are heard and shaping them. So for us, this multi-stakeholder dialogue are not a consultation, but it's a way to build trust among key stakeholders. So from this effort, we learned that the local ownership, inclusive dialogue, and the youth engagement are the key building the digital future that is safe and equitable and empowering for the Cambodia citizen and also the world also. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Thierry. Mohammed?
Thank you very much. My name is Muhammad Adid Ali. I'm the Executive Director of Somali Civil Society Network, namely SONSA. SONSA is a multi-sectoral platform of the civil society organization dedicated to promoting digital rights, internet governance, and civic space in Somalia, as well as SONSA promotes good governance, peace, and state building and democratization in digital age. I would like to thank the panelists as well as IGF community and IGF Norway particular secretariat, those organized this significant event. In general context, in Somalia, media oversight and regulatory barriers are limited digital advocacy in human rights, gender, economic, climate justice, and democracy. But the digital access can help drive equitable development, accountability, governance, gender equality, climate actions, and human rights that empowers citizens to voice needs and hold leaders accountable. Building digital capacity, rights, awareness, and security practices to navigate constraints and maximum impact is the critical for Somali civil society organizations. In Somalia, we have different stakeholders that engage digital and internet sector, which is institutional sectors, private sectors, and other civil society organizations, mainly human rights defenders. We have Digital Rights Authority, DBA. We have National Identification and Registration Authority, NERA. We have National Communication Authority, NCA. We have Somali National Telecommunication and Technology Institute, as well as we have touch companies as a private sector actors, as well as we have human rights organizations and defenders. In early 2024, SONSA conducted mapping and assessment addressing digital rights capacity. And that capacity focused on internet access, digital literacy, social media, users, digital rights awareness, digital violence, and digital security. The findings that we found that during the assessment is, number one, the internet access. 98% of the population connected primary networks from their homes, workplace, use internet cafes, public services, and friends network. In terms of digital literacy, 98 they reported that digital is a basic. Digital literacy is a very important, as well as 90% can send message and can send message through their mobiles as well as to receive their emails. In terms of social media users, Facebook and TikToks, 44% of the population, mainly youngest, they are using social media in terms of Facebook and TikTok, as well as there is YouTubers. 32% they uses the YouTubers as users, as well as there is Twitter Spaces, which politicians and decision makers use as a professionality and purpose of their work and displaying their achievement in terms of government institutions. As well as the assessment, raises digital rights awarenesses. 28% understand risks and sharing personal information online, as well as digital violence. 42% experienced digital violence, whereby 37% reports gender-based incidents like blackmailing, harassment, and other sexual offensive issues. In terms of digital security, 44% have faced incidents like account thefts and other scams. 69% adopted basic measures, blocking, reporting updates, but advanced practices and secure communication, security authentication remain limited. We have as ongoing efforts as strategy, as lesson learned, strengthen the civil society organizations in digital skills, such to deliver workshops and in corruption, privacy setting, phishing and cyber security attack awareness, security communication, and safe device practices. As well as it is very important raising public awareness, launch national-wide campaign on tech facilitated gender-based violence and online safety through radio, social media, as well as community forums. The other one, engage policymakers, is a very important to convene policy dialogue and roundtable connecting civil society organizations with regulatory decision makers to align ICT framework with the digital rights protection. Sustain capacity building, distribute practical toolkits, e.g. digital safety checklist, incident reports, guides, template privacy policies, and provide follow-up support so CSO can apply and update practice over time. So thank you very much. That's I need to concrete my presentation. Over to you.
Thank you, Mohammed. We'll now go to Khadija, who's online. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Mia. Just a second. Yeah, so I'm calling in from the West Bank. I work with the organization called Miftah. We work domestically on promoting good governance and democracy and highlighting how Israeli violations affect women and girls in gender-specific ways. So to give a quick background, when we talk about digital rights violations, they're unfortunately non-existent. The digital rights are non-existent. We face a variety of violations. To give a quick overview, Israel's use of advanced surveillance, including biometric data collection and AI facial recognition, has real-life physical implications, such as arrest, restriction of movement, and even targeted killing. We've seen the development of AI tools such as Blue Wolf and Lavender and Where's Daddy, which are deployed to monitor and control Palestinian movement, often without legal oversight. We also have a lot of social media censorship. Palestinian content is subject to arbitrary censorship, account suspensions, and surveillance on platforms like Facebook and Instagram. The Facebook law and vague anti-terrorism legislation are weaponized to criminalize online dissent and restrict freedom of expression. There's also repressive technology infrastructure in the occupied West Bank and the Gaza Strip. So discriminatory practice limit Palestinian access to ICT infrastructure. For example, Palestinians still use 3G internet network, while Israeli settlers who are illegally living in the West Bank have full access to 4G and 5G networks. And we're also seeing a huge shrink in civic space. So civil society actors, journalists, and activists face intimidation, arrest, and spyware targeting through Israeli technologies. So to speak of the mapping assessment that we've done at Miftah, we collected questionnaires from 55 Palestinian organizations based in the West Bank, including Jerusalem and the Gaza Strip. And some of the key findings from that mapping assessment, first, we see a widespread gap in digital awareness and security capacity. So 23% of CSOs lack basic knowledge of digital rights. Only 14.5% of them raise their awareness of digital threats as high. 52% have no digital rights protection policies. We also see that after October 2023, there's been severe challenges. 40% of institutions face direct digital violations, including content deletion, hate speech, and hacking. 43% reported difficulties in internet access and communications during escalations, especially in Gaza and Jenin. Nearly 55% reduced digital activity due to threats, and only 20% had digital emergency response plans. We also see institutional vulnerability due to limited resources. So nearly 75% of CSOs lack technological resources, 55% lack digital knowledge, and 36% lack legal support. And small or medium-sized institutions are more vulnerable. Nearly 86% of CSOs receive no technological or legal support post-October 2023. When the risks were more high. There's also a lack of legal and policy frameworks. So 72% of CSOs are unaware of local digital rights legislation. Over half of them believe that existing cybercrime laws may be ineffective or unsure of their effectiveness. Nearly 62% of CSOs believe that the Palestinian government is not doing enough to protect digital rights. And we see an overwhelming majority of them there's an urgent need for capacity building and international support. And this means many of them seek security training, and they want training on digital rights to raise awareness. To speak of the main activities that we've been doing at Miftah, we've had 2 rounds of trainings on digital rights for CSOs and CBOs from marginalized communities across the West Bank. We've had a policy meeting with CSOs on the cyber crimes draft law. We've hosted a diplomatic briefing with diplomats based in Palestine on our digital rights report. We also are continuing to produce social media content based on the evidence-based research. We also plan to start a podcast series based on it as well. And we have participated at the Palestinian Digital Activism Forum back in March, which is hosted by the organization Hamla. And we will continue doing the work that we have been doing for the past year. So that's it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Khadija, and thank you all so much for the presentations. I just would like to underline how clear it is every time I hear you guys speak, that as much as there are clear differences between the various countries you come from and the communities you work with, there are some common digital rights threats and issues, and also some important work from civil society organizations like the ones you represent, which shows that a better, more rights respecting digital ecosystem is possible. We want to open it up to any questions or reflections from the audience, to any of the speakers, or in general. We have a few questions that we came up that we would like to hear from you, but of course any and all questions are welcome, also from those listening in online. So there are mics to the side of the room in case anybody wants to ask any questions. Otherwise, I know I have questions for for our panel here. Any questions? Okay, maybe I can break the ice with a question to you all, and then I'll also we'll also monitor online if there are any questions. One question in to all, any of you who want to answer, can you share a little bit more what you have done in terms of sharing these important research findings and analyses with stakeholders and duty bearers at the national level, and if there have been any reactions or actions taken on their part, and then how have you communicated about those actions back to the groups involved in the research, sort of like to establish meaningful two-way accountability in digital governance? Anybody would like to start? Yes, here.
Yeah, from Cambodia, actually, based on the finding that we conduct the research in Cambodia, we organize the workshop that disseminate the finding to the civil society and other stakeholders on that. And based on that, we validate the request. Like I mentioned about the action that we conduct at the ground level in terms of the training to the grassroots organization and also the community there. And for that, not only the awareness on the digital, but also about the policy implementation at the national level that need the voice of the community, voice of the civil society that work there to consideration in the policy framework. That so the policy dialogue that I mentioned is very important. Actually, we plan in 3rd July and also the end of this year for the policy dialogue that allow the audience, the community and the civil society at the ground level and their representative to meet with the policymaker to raise all the challenges. So that's why the multi-stakeholder dialogue is very important. That's not for the consultation, but it's the platform that change and consider the demand of the community. Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Thierry. Anyone else wants to take the question? Yeah.
Yeah, as Luan mentioned, in Bolivia, we are creating this network of grassroots women organizations that they want to work together in these issues, but from a bottom-up perspective, with the idea of not only creating tools, digital security tools or others, but also to carry out advocacy actions together. And this is really important because in Bolivia we are in a moment of elections, and these moments really normally open the windows to create new policies and to discuss things with politicians. So I think this is a very key moment in order to organize, to create coalitions, and to do advocacy together. So this is one of the actions that we are doing with Internet Bolivia Foundation.
Thank you. Mohammed, yeah?
Yeah, thank you very much. In our context, in terms of digital arena, is a new ecosystem because mostly the civil society organizations and other individuals have a challenge in terms of capacity, knowledge in the digital. Mostly in Somalia, the private sector as well as the civil society organizations are the concentrated in terms of digitalization and as well as using other technologies, but mostly the population of the community still didn't have much knowledge on digital. Or this after we started this recipe project, we engaged different stakeholders, mainly the decision makers. For example, the government institutions. In terms of legislative, some of them still they are drafting, and some of the policies are on the disk of cabinet and still not passed. So that's the way we are our context. But in terms of our engagement, we make coordination with different stakeholders. We established digital platform organizations as a digital task force committee, which is comprises decision makers, civil society organizations, and tech companies to work together, considering digitalization is a part of basic rights of individuals. Thank you.
Thanks, Mohammed. Perhaps Khadija, would you like to come in on this? I know you mentioned the Palestine Digital Activism Forum, but maybe there's more. Yeah.
Yeah, so Miftah, we're actually part of the Palestinian Digital Rights Initiative Coalition, which is a group of CSOs who work in the realm of digital rights within Palestine. So we contribute with them on a monthly basis, share findings, insights, and kind of just learn from each other. Also learn about upcoming opportunities from one another as well. So it was through this coalition that we were actually encouraged also to apply to PDAF, which is the Palestinian Digital Rights Activism Forum. This was a 2-day forum of speakers, panels, workshops, teaching about digital rights in Palestine. So we participated in that, and we were able to reach, an audience within Palestine, like students, other organizations, other activists. So that was a really great opportunity for us as well. In addition to that, we just continue to share our content online through social media. We find that social media is a very effective tool to reach people, not only internationally, but internally, domestically as well. And so we have students at universities in Palestine who have reached out to us because of our content, asking more questions. Maybe they were doing research on the topic, so we were able to help them in that capacity.
Thank you. Snow, yeah?
Yeah, actually for IPS in Vietnam, we act as a bridge and facilitator throughout this process. Typically, we follow a bottom-up approach, which means that we're starting from the grassroots level through survey, consultation, and other participatory activities to collect inputs from all relevant stakeholders. Once we have gathered sufficient perspective, we organize in-depth discussion with policymakers to share the findings. And through that, these findings are always accompanied with clear and actionable recommendations. so that we can work alongside with policymakers to drive positive change. For example, over the last 3 years, we have been heavily involved in the issue related to digital governance and online public service delivery. And once the concrete recommendations, we have the recommendation about the consolidating all 63 provincial portal into a single national portal, as I have mentioned in my presentation, then it was adopted by the policymaker. And additionally, our user experiences assessment are now being adopted as part of the national standards. And we continue to work closely with the policymaker and other government authority to refine these standards. And when recommendations are taken on board, it's become much easier to bring the policymaker, the government agencies, representative, and other civil society organizations together for direct dialogue. And I think that's all.
Thank you. Any brave souls in the room with questions, reflections? No? Okay. Then I do have a final. Oh, yeah, please. Would you like to come up to the mic? Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, so my name is Enis Mafuta. I'm from Zambia. I'm coming from the technical background. I'm a standards engineer. So I'll just talk briefly on, I think, question 3 on digital rights and how international governance community should prioritize more respecting. So I've seen all your amazing presentation and how you've highlighted. One thing that I've noticed is that they are more interlinked with the issues that we're facing in different regions. Talk of Asia, South America, Africa. There's one common denominator, and that is digital literacy, which has been a challenge in terms of accessing the rights. So with regards to that question, one of the things that I would like to see the international community to work on is, you see, access is a right. We've said it. Access is a right. But there is something that will always block access. When it comes to the government, they'll say they are safeguarding platforms from misinformation, deepfakes, and everything. So there's need to balance this cybersecurity resilience while upholding freedom of expression and also access. One of the example that I would give you is under a few minutes is how my country has amended the cybersecurity crime and law of 2025, and this bill was assented in a private manner. So when this bill was assented in a private manner, then the society came to learn about it. It created a perception out there to say this is a bad law. They're trying to curtail our freedom of speech and access and everything. So it was a situation where now people started throwing memes, insults, and everything. So there was those types of arrests and stuff like that. In a nutshell, I wouldn't blame the government because there were some cyber crime offenders, but on the other hand, there were some people who were ignorant about this law, so there were not much awareness and everything. So I would encourage the civil society space at least to advocate for algorithm detection that can tackle misinformation and also these deepfakes, because once an information which is wrong is sent out there, it is weaponized, and once it is weaponized, it creates a perception in the minds of users. And when it creates that perception in the mind of users, the users themselves, they are going to be limited by that information. They are going to accept it. So in short, they are going to accept that definition. And when you accept that definition, it will end up limiting you. And when you are limited by that information, you believe it. So you live with it because it's a lie. So this is just my observation about this. So let's work together, technical community, civil society. Let's find ways on how we can tackle these misinformation and defects. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm aware we have only 1 minute left. I'm sure there's lots of thoughts around me on this. I think this is definitely something that the reason why spaces like the IGF are really important and the multi-stakeholder approach is very important, right? And I think that in that balancing exercise, which you mentioned, having a diversity of voices and experiences participate is really important to find the right balance, because it is a balancing act indeed. Yeah, like I mentioned, this is the start of the conversation, hopefully, although I know that it may be the last day of this IGF, but we do want to continue the conversation. There are some resources at the back, and of course you can come up to us to have our contact details. I want to thank you all, panelists, and also to those online, and those in the room, and the technical team making this this hybrid session possible. Again, thank you, and have safe travels back home, and let's continue the discussion. Thanks again.